Namaste. Conjunction is a quality. A bad conjunction will display bad quality. A good conjunction will display good quality. In this podcast, I have talked on Shani Rahu conjunction. Saturn is the very base, Saturn is the foundation. And when Rahu is with Saturn, then definitely it creates issues and problems in life. It also is a sign that the person has a certain curse from past lives. It is also a sign that this person has been so much desirous to attain his wishes, that to attain his wishes, he has done many bad karmas. So, Saturn Rahu conjunction at some stage of life definitely brings many problems. In this podcast, I have talked more on this conjunction. Also, I have talked about Pitru Dosh. So, listen carefully and always remember that you can change the conjunctions, you can change your quality. However, to do so, you need to take efforts. Everything is possible provided you are ready to take efforts. So, there is much more, many insights in this podcast. A beautiful story of Jesus. I am sure you will learn many new insights through this podcast. So, let's begin. Any conjunction, irrespective how good or bad it is by its tattva, that is essence, it manifests based on the soil in which it falls. And that is why many conjunctions that are considered as taboo, like Saturn Mars, Saturn Rahu, or Saturn Ketu, have been found in the charts of many celebrities and politicians and global leaders. Because what matters is the soil, the environment, the overall condition and placement of other planets, and most important, the ascendant. Saturn Rahu conjunction is in reality an eclipse on Saturn. In Indian context, we can call it Shani Grahana. But people tremble more when they see Sun Rahu conjunction, because that turns out as a solar eclipse, Surya Grahan. And since Rahu is the staunch enemy of Sun, the Sun's qualities are exaggerated, making the person more egoist than he already is. But Saturn is not an enemy of Rahu. Saturn is enemy of Ketu, but not of Rahu. And so this conjunction is of two friends. The difference is one is a cop, while the other is a thief, a chore. Reminds me of a story that I had read in my school textbook. It was titled After 20 Years Ago. On a dark night, a man is waiting at the entrance of a very old restaurant. and it is raining outside. There are no lights, wild winds blowing all around the town. But the man waits. After a while, another man comes. He seems to be in search of somebody, but because it is raining, he also waits at the entrance of the old restaurant. He could barely see the face of the other man. He says, "Why are you waiting here? I see you are waiting for a very long time." The other man nodded his head in agreement and said, "Yes, I am waiting for my old friend." The man asked, "What is your name?" The other man said, "My name is Jim." "Jim, why are you waiting here for so long?" And Jim says, "It is a very old story. 20 years ago, Robin and I had made a promise to each other that after 20 years we will meet at this place. Robin is my best friend and I am waiting for him. It has been a long time, 20 years. The man asked, "So tell me, what you did all these 20 years?" Jim says, "I earned millions of dollars. You see, the world calls me a bad man because I am from the underworld. But that's okay. I have earned so much that for next 6 generations I may not have to do anything more." The man smiles. It is too dark and he cannot see clearly. He says, "Are you going to still wait? Because it seems that your friend may not arrive anytime soon." Jim says, "I know Robin very well. He is not going to forget the promise that we made. I will wait for him." The man says, "Okay then, you wait while I will move on." Jim smiles and the man leaves. After a while, cops arrive at the same place and they arrest Jim. Jim is not able to escape because the operation was so quick that he was caught. As the cops moved him in the car, one of them handed a small chit to Jim. Jim opens the chit, and as he starts reading, his eyes are filled with tears. The words appeared blurred to his tearful eyes as he read those words again and again. The chit said, "Jim, this is me, Robin, your best friend. I am the same man whom you had met a while ago. I could not reveal my identity to you because in this last 20 years I became a cop and you became a thief. I kept my promise. I met you at the same restaurant, but I cannot let you go because you see, I am a cop and to me duty comes first. Sorry, your friend Robin." Robin is Saturn, Jim is Rahu. Two good friends, but see their fate. One becomes a sincere cop, while the other becomes an underworld don. The whole purpose of sharing this story is to help you all understand that friendship is there, but the nature differs. And because the nature differs, this conjunction often gives a split personality. Because remember, one is a cop while the other is a thief. Saturn is the very foundation of life. Saturn signifies the karma. And so when Rahu afflicts the foundation of life, then you can understand why this conjunction becomes a curse to the native. What is the remedy? Overcome Rahu, that is your desires, is the only remedy. How to overcome the desires? That must be your next question. And the answer is found in the golden words of the Divine Master Neem Karoli Baba. Baba says, if you want to see God, kill desires. Desires are in the mind. When you have a desire for something, don't act on it and it will go away. If you desire to drink this cup of tea, don't, and the desire for it will go away. Temptations, lust, greed. It all comes from the state of your desires. Desire to have sex. Many men or women indulge in the act of sex impulsively. Rahu is impulsive by nature because the rush is to get the pleasure of bed as soon as possible. Many times it happens, the man dates a woman, they talk. In fact, the woman goes on talking a lot while the man is just interested on how soon he can get her to the bed. You see, his whole mind and brain is revolving around one question: when is she going to get in the bed? Temptation. And then these temptations, Rahuish, eventually push you into more troubles. That is why the Holy Bible says, don't fall for temptations. Don't just run for temptation, look it in the eye and defeat it. Many sages have mentioned this conjunction leads to Pitru Dosh. What is Pitru? Pitru means ancestors, seniors in your family. Saturn signify ancestors, the ancient old family generation figureheads. Rahu caused discomfort to the ancestors, which leads to Pitru Dosh. So then what to do? Start feeding the beautiful black crow whom you see every day in your balcony or on your window glass. He is always around you. All you need is the eyes to recognize him and feed him with love. But who wants to listen? People will spend thousands of rupees in Shanti Puja and whatnot. And then when they by chance meet me, they say, Kuch nahi hua, nothing happened. Why will anything good happen? You have just gone and done some rituals. Rituals cannot help, but that one piece of grain that comes from your hand out of love and goes in the stomach of a starving bird or animal or a human being can help you, can bring much happiness in your life. But who wants to listen? Shallow men and shallow women are all over this planet. That is why I don't accept everybody, the less the better. You all have to understand that paying cash and doing rituals is not going to help you, because God is not hungry for your money. God is hungry for your love, for your devotion. The most feared conjunction can become a blessing. The most condemned man can become godly. Ratnakar was a thief, the most dangerous thief and murderer, but a moment came in his life when he was no more the same. He started transforming, he took to meditation, he engrossed himself in deep penance, and a day came when the old Ratnakar died and a new Ratnakar was reborn, to whom the world addresses as Saint Valmiki. Ratnakar, the thief, can become Saint Valmiki. Everything is possible. Just a proper direction, just a proper guidance, and dry leaves start becoming green. Deserts start changing into oases. Hate starts transforming. into love. Reminds me of Saul. Saul lived in Jerusalem and he hated Jesus, so much so that he would torture the followers of Jesus. He would make fun of Christians and he also had killed many Christians. But Jesus said nothing. And then one day, while walking, Saul fell upon a rock and lost his eyes. His eyes started bleeding. There was nobody around. He cried, "Help, help, help me." A few followers of Jesus were passing by. They carried him on their shoulders and dropped him at Jesus' feet. Jesus was sitting at the river bay, engrossed in his own bliss. The followers said, "Master, this man has lost his eyes. Please do something for him." Jesus just looked at Saul, and Saul felt embarrassed. Whole life he had been condemning Jesus, causing so much trouble to Jesus, and yet Jesus was so loving. Softly he moved his hands over Saul's bleeding eyes, and the greatest miracle happened. Saul got his eyes back, and the old eyes were gone. New pair of eyes had come. It was a gift from Jesus. And Saul started crying. His cry was so loud that many followers of Jesus came rushing to see what has happened. Nobody could understand what was happening, but Jesus could. A great transformation was happening. The old Saul had died and a new Saul was reborn. And to remember this great moment of transformation, Saul changed his name to Paul. Saul became Paul, and it is this same Paul who later was revered by the Christian church as Saint Paul. Saul becomes Saint Paul, that is the power of possibility. Ratnakar becomes Saint Valmiki, that is the power of possibility. Everything is possible in this human world. The larger question is, are you willing to take the first step towards inner transformation? Always remember, every saint has a past that is filled with mind-boggling events and terrible karma, to which the world calls sin. What is sin? Sin is an act that happens in the absence of awareness, absence of consciousness. And so, if the saint was once a sinner, then the sinner that you see now before your eyes can also someday become a saint. Every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. Always remember this. Curse can also become a blessing in disguise. So to all the natives having Saturn Rahu conjunction, I appeal that this is the place, this is the planet, and this is the birth where you can correct your mistakes, where you have been given a chance to correct your mistakes. And you can correct your mistakes only when you realize your mistake, when you accept your mistake. The first step towards change is awareness. The second step is acceptance. Life goes on repeating until you become aware, until you become conscious of your actions, your karma. The solution to this conjunction's ill effects is only to be found in the realms of awareness. Once your awareness becomes a flame, it burns up the whole slavery that the mind has created. The mind is the problem, but it remains a problem until you remain a slave of your mind. The moment you become the master and the mind becomes your slave, then the same mind becomes a beautiful servant. Buddha says the mind is a beautiful servant but a dangerous master. No rituals and no black magic and no spells can help you. They will only make you more and more weaker. If at all anything can help you to evolve in the true sense, then it is your own effort to turn inwards. It is your own willingness to look within, your own readiness to meditate. The Master appears. The benevolent Guru arrives before you, accepts you, chooses you as his disciple only when you are ready in the true sense. Your readiness to meditate, your efforts and consistency in continuing on your spiritual path is what will one day bring your master before you. Then you don't have to go in search of the master. The master will come in search of you. When the student is ready, the master appears. People are running behind astrology, and in this mad rush, they are forgetting the fact that astrology is just a map that can show you the way, help you to remain mentally prepared, but that is all. The map cannot guide you on how to reach. Only the compassionate Divine Master can help. But who wants to listen? And so the miseries, the majority is always stuck on the circumference. They cannot go beyond the circumference because to do so, you need the courage, and to be courageous, you need to follow the path of truth. You need to follow your heart. Joy comes when you follow your heart. God comes when you follow the voice of your heart. Listen to the voice within. Only then can you jump. Only then can you find the solution to this conjunction that has grown within you from many past births and rebirths. Remember, that was the last word of Buddha. Samasti. Samasti means remember. Just remember to turn inwards. Just remember that you are not here forever. Just remember that except change, everything else changes. Life is a flux, a constant flow. Today you may have born with this conjunction. Tomorrow, in the next birth, the same conjunction can change, can transform into something beautiful only if in this birth you are willing to take the efforts to turn inwards, efforts to slowly and steadily correct your mistakes by overcoming the low desires and by raising the quality of your desires. The more you purify your mind, the more you meditate, the more you start living with acceptance, the more you stop clinging, the more you will be able to raise the quality of desires. Because desires cannot be dropped, but desires can be raised to the higher altitudes of awareness. That is why I always say that love something of higher altitudes, something that can raise you to the higher realms of consciousness. Meditate every day, And always remember, you are not alone. Jai Sri Ganesha, Jai Guru. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha.